And recording. You can bring your mic in. Oil can? Your glasses are going to fall on the floor.
Oh, no.
You don't want that.
There you go. Don't want those.
Can you slide over just a touch? Sorry, that's plenty. You don't have to. You can maintain your own comfort. I got lots of room on my side. Yeah. So Bryan asked a really nice question, and then you were giving a detailed answer.
Yeah. Why did you get into that?
But, I mean, you don't have to get into the personal. I mean, this was a private conversation.
It was a private conversation.
I just used your line. But you were saying about the knowledge level of the patient base. You can jump off there.
Absolutely. So I've shadowed probably mid-20s, high 30s, different appointments for patients and naturopaths or interns at the clinic at the school. And just seeing the knowledge level that patients have on whatever their condition is. I think there's a huge divide between naturopath patients versus patients in other divisions of health. I think that they're very, very educated in, and I think that's because one of the pillars of naturopathic is health, like teaching, so teaching health.
So even before they become a patient, the individual is already extremely educated with a lot of, maybe not fully, maybe not even correctly, but they know that there's more to their condition than just, well, there's a medication for it.
Absolutely.
And so now they're going to their family doctor saying, I'd like to get tested for X, Y, and Z. Do you test for homocysteine? And their medical doctor most of the time will be like, you don't need that. You don't need that at all. Why would you? I can send you to a cardiologist if there's an issue, but even then the cardiologist will probably look at more of the imaging and basic blood work. Like if someone thinks that they're having a heart attack, an EKG, and as long as it's, what's the troponin? As long as that's normal, you can go. You still might feel like you're having a heart attack, but you aren't. Mm-hmm. So you're free to leave. And that's sort of the lack of care that patients have gotten to the point of like, that's not a solution. They told me what I don't have. But this has let me look up and find out it could be this, 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 and this. And I have symptoms of a lot of those. So who's going to test those for me? We are. We are. And yourself, we talk and we do a lot of podcasts because you educate yourself.
I do like to stay on top of what I am putting inside the machine. I believe it's a machine, right? And like a car or a bike, right? You got to maintain the machine, right? And if it's not functioning, if your car wasn't working right, you'd have to take it to the mechanic. The mechanic, you just tell the mechanic, I hear this squeaky noise over here. He then analyzes and says, you need A, B, and C to stop the squeaky noise.
Sure.
So when I come to you, or you in the future,
that's fine.
You might lose a patient.
That's okay. But she's smart.
You know, I come to you and I say, I feel A, B, C, and then you do a diagnostics, and then you say, oh, this is what is ailing you. Let's try to fix this problem.
So let's jump off that as well, because I feel like if we brought our car to the mechanic in the 80s, I presume you weren't born yet? No. We're in a weird spot now. Like a lot of the things I'll be like, remember, I don't know, what's something that happened in the 80s? There's a lot of things. They'll be like, Challenger exploded. You'll be like, was that a gas tank? And it's like, they don't know our references. But anyways, like the old cars, you would bring to your mechanic, and by the end of the day, he's like, he's got a rag over his shoulder, and he's just polishing. And it's like, cars aren't like that anymore. And I feel like that might be a good analogy to how their health is viewed or treated now versus back in the day. Because before, I used to go to your family doctor, he'd hit you with a couple hammers and give you a shot and send you on your way. You're fine now. Your car's fixed. Now, it's all these computerized things and diagnostics and this and readings. And it's like, are we more complicated?
Back to your mechanic analogy.
Yeah.
Mechanics in the past used to fix parts.
Right.
Now they replace parts. They don't even fix. So if you took them and you had a bad alternator, that mechanic back in the day would be able to take that thing apart and put it back together.
How often now is your car check engine light on? Not because of a part, because of a firmware, software.
Funny enough, I took my. That's why I'm here in the city, is because I had to take my car into Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing
against them. Nothing against them. I like their cars.
All the car. I mean, no, they're great.
But the sensors are.
It's the sensors.
Sensors off. Sensors off.
So it's not the part, but it's the sensor that's malfunctioning.
Yeah. But then the sensor forces the part to work overtime. So
yeah, because it thinks there's a problem.
Yeah, it's a coolant sensor. So now the fan on the rad
went up,
even in wintertime, is running right when you turn the car on when it's stone cold.
Yeah.
So I don't think we become more complicated. Maybe we become more complicated because of this.
Okay.
Right?
He's picking up his phone. You're slightly out of shot with your phone.
There. Right? But maybe because we become more complicated because of those things, and TV and what's being told to us by so-called health professionals. Right?
You talking to me?
I'm looking at you.
Well, it's an interesting thing, because what if we are more susceptible to things as our awareness of them becomes more acknowledged? You can say so. You can jump in anytime.
I think it wouldn't necessarily be us becoming more complicated. I think we're just more informed.
Does becoming more informed increase your risk of developing a condition? Let's take mental health. Let's say someone is just like...
What's the term for that? I forgot the term when you... Oh my God. When you think you have an illness all the time.
Like a hypochondriac.
That's it. Right?
So
are more people being that way because they feel, oh my God, I sneezed, I got condition A, B, and C.
Definitely being able to Google a symptom has really increased the chances that someone thinks they have a specific condition. I think there was always paranoia about health and fear about, like, anxiety of health. A lot of people didn't like going to doctors, and that's still a thing. But I think it's become a little bit more specialized in the degree and severity of, like, this person is convinced they have cancer, and they are actually at the point where they're doing all these tests and getting, like, kits sent to them that it's like, hey, you know what? Like, I have to rule this out. And then the inevitability, pardon me. Oh, he's in the waiting room. I don't see him in the waiting room. Unless he's physically in my downstairs waiting room.
No, because I never gave him the address.
Okay. And then we'll patch you into the rest of the podcast as we were discussing. I've got Becca Thompson, a second-year naturopathic student, and your good friend Bryan Figueira, Dr.
Absolutely.
Paul.
Hi, everyone.
Chiropractor to the stars.
Hello.
There we go. I do astrology part-time.
Whoa. Well, what are you? I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah, I'm Aquarian too.
See? Oh, you had a birthday recently.
Yeah. What day are you?
Valentine's Day.
Oh, extra special love.
Yeah, I don't think people believe that generally. No, I'm not. I'm kind of like, I would probably, if people picked a birthday for me, I would probably get April 1st.
Because you're a joker?
That'd be a nice way of putting it. See, Brian's always can put a spin on things.
Yeah.
We were just kind of touching upon a couple topics, and if you have anything that you'd like to share, the topic that I brought up, just pulling from our conversation initially, was, are we becoming a little bit more paranoid about our health with the more that we know? It's a very broad question. And I was saying, like, just like how our old cars, we can just bring it to the mechanic, and Brian's like, yeah, it would just fix the part. now there's so many sensors, there's so many different things that could go wrong, plus all the stuff that we can look up on our own. Are you experiencing that in your practice in any way, or do you see how that can be a thing?
Do you know what? I'm getting definitely a lot more educated patients,
Mm-hmm.
and questions are definitely much better. And you can always tell by the depth of the question how much knowledge they have on the subject. But I love it. Are you kidding me? Hit me with your best question. Let's get the answers for the patient. Then they know you know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, it's going to reveal itself pretty quickly, right? So, but no, I love it. I invite all questions. And are we paranoid? I've never thought of it like that. I think it's just fantastic tools, and how we use the tools as opposed to the tools using us.
Well, I think you brought up a lot of interesting points, and the idea that we have to kind of be ready to answer these questions. And I always kind of looked at like the healthcare system, maybe the system that I grew up in is that your medical doctor, your family doctor was at the top of the pyramid. And pretty much all information and knowledge came from there. And
Mhm.
then somewhere, I guess, with the internet and just a greater level of education, now we can ask questions that reveal that like this person knows too much or more than what we're used to. Because it's easy
Mhm.
for me to say, hey, you should take this probiotic. But if someone says, like, well, don't you think that, lactobacillus, this in this situation may not be the right? And I'm like, um, maybe I'd have to look that up. You know
That's a
more about it than I.
that's a learning opportunity. And I say to them, I don't know all the answers either. And when they ask me a question, I said, you know what? I don't know that. Let's look it up. And I look it up right on the spot if I have time to dive into something like that. But if not, I'll have an answer for them by next time, or I'll send them an email. And I think they appreciate the honesty, because you can't know everything. There's just no way you can know everything. And your medical doctor doesn't know everything. Um, we don't know everything, but we do our best. And I think if you show the patient that you're actually doing your best, and it's not just a patient on some conveyor belt that's being processed through your office, but they're actually a live human being with concerns about their health, genuine concerns, and you've got a genuine concern, they pick that up really, really quickly. And I think that's very, very important. And, I care. I care about they're my family. And I'm sure it's like in your situation as well. Your patients are your family. And who do you look after the best? Your family, I would hope.
Yeah, we usually would hope so, right? And I think people do value that. Yeah, I treat Brian like family, and I know some of my family members would be like, "Don't let him do that." But I think acknowledging that we can't know everything, and whether that means like getting back to someone, looking something up, or even like referring out to like, hey, you know what, I don't do this, but my colleague, 15 minutes from here, I can vouch for them. They would be a great referral, and by all means, and I try to preach that at our clinic that interrelate, inter-refer to one another here. But even if that means referring out to someone, it's like, you know what? There's a guy who does great work with concussions just up the street. I'm like, hey, we do some good stuff, but if you really need that extra touch, then that's the person. And uh, we have a part of our healthcare system seems like it's collapsing, but that just might mean that there's an opportunity for other areas of our healthcare to actually
When you
expand
say
and
healthcare, you're not talking about your healthcare system. You're talking about the healthcare system,
like, yeah, at large.
right?
the the
No,
the,
because
the average
Yeah.
I'm a believer of this healthcare system, the naturopath, the chiropractor, the
what
acupuncture, the massage, as opposed to, don't get me wrong, if I fall off my motorcycle on the highway, yes, give me whatever drugs you're going to have to give me to do the surgery, but I shouldn't have to be stuck on that for the rest of my life. So that healthcare
yeah,
system, I just
well,
wanted to make sure.
yeah, so healthcare is a broad term, and there, whether you want to call it emergency care, acute care, pharmaceutical needs, whatever it may be, I think we have like a unique situation where it's like we are grateful for some of the things we have, but then there's such a have not gap developing that we have to fill the void. And that's where the paramedical systems are coming in, and the patient base is becoming more acknowledging and understanding of what we provide and the importance of prevention and maintenance care. so that we don't end up in just life and death situations. Anybody? Deep thought?
No, you also have to be careful where you get your source of information from. I just don't take it from one source. I like to take it from multiple sources. Dr. Google could be slightly biased with a pharmaceutical bias, is what I'm finding. Or there's other sites out there that tends to be a little more medically focused. Again, but I will look at them all, and then I think your intuition serves you well, and saying that doesn't feel right. That answer just doesn't feel right. And I think I'm going to get a second opinion on that. And then you dive down and you see the naturopath, you see the chiropractor, you see the functional medicine doctor, or the acupuncturist. Bounce ideas off them, and they'll say something or give you clues on how to do things. I tell my patients all the time, I expect results within a certain time frame. If I don't see results in a certain time frame, then I'm going to do something different, or I'm going to order a test. If I don't see results after that, then you're possibly not a chiropractic patient, and I'm going to try and find you someone to help you. So again, that's the journey that I take my patients on.
That's great. I mean, that just, it shows progression of thought. And I do tell like new grads and other practitioners, like, we want to show that things are moving in a direction. You should expect to see some kind of result after the first or second appointment. You should see progression after a month. There has to be a timeline where you're like, okay, by this point, if we're not here, there has to be another level of attention or care that's addressed. Because the worst case is when I've seen a patient, or I hear that a patient's been like, oh, I've been going to see this doctor for like, a year and a half. I go there, once a month, and, some things are better, some things are worse, but the main concern isn't changing. And that tells me that someone's missing the mark, or the expectation levels are too low.
Good point.
Another slightly on the flip side of things is I still think that patients are, there's a vibe in wanting a quick fix, still wanting things like, I don't want to make changes, I don't want to take your advice, but I also want to feel better, and I don't want to spend anything. So what do you discuss with this group of, I think it's like a mindset, maybe it's an obstacle to cure for them.
The two things in the fire department are, we want change, but we don't like change.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that falls to everything else, right?
Sure.
People want the change, but they don't want to. They're fearful
it's a fear statement of, I'm going to be uncomfortable or lose something that I want, or there's the onus is on me, which is pressure. How do you address that, Dr. Paul? What do you say about that?
Well, it's a really good point. Most people stand in front of the microwave and say, hurry up, right? They want things now, done quick, but they don't want to make a lot of effort to make those changes. You have to be upfront with them. You have to tell them it's going to take, this is what I need from you. I do 80% of the work now. I need you to do 80% of the work here. That involves A, B, C, and D. And, you have to call them on it. Did you do A, B, and C? And if they don't do A, B, and C, then usually I'll joke with them and have fun. Say, I really appreciate you putting my kids through college or university. You're going to be here forever,
Yeah.
So you want to have fun with it, but you want to be firm as well and get the point across. But most patients, they're busy, they're hectic, but you prioritize what's important to you. So if you can get the value across to them, and explain why it's important for them and how they're going to benefit, usually compliance does go up.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
It's got to be easy for them, though.
Yeah, meet them where they're at somehow.
It's got to be easy for them. Not a lot of people, like in Dr. Paul's situation, he could say, to fix this problem on your shoulder, you got to do this exercise.
Yeah.
People don't, it's hard for people to keep that. Where in your situation, it's like, add this into your diet, which may be easier or maybe even harder.
Sure.
Right? That's where the compliance part drops. It's finding that thing that will work for that one specific person.
Yeah. Well,
right? And it won't necessarily, just because you give it to me as a compliance, won't necessarily work for the other individual, right? In compliance, and like, consume this.
Right.
Right. I may be that person that every day will take that capsule.
Mm-hmm.
Right. where another person's like, I forgot to take it today. I'll just take 2 later. Right. And it doesn't work.
Well, it's a good point, because a lot of times people who are coming to see a naturopath, they already have like a biased or belief that's like, okay, you're probably going to get me to change my diet. You're probably going to give me some supplements. So the fact that they're coming in, they probably already acknowledge like there's some element of onus on me. And sometimes it's easy to introduce something that is like a sidestep of what they're already doing. I tell a lot of people, don't have dairy, but you may, if you need to, have like a dairy-free alternative. So sometimes you can do a substitution, whereas other times it's like, we're introducing something new.
Don't have a cookie.
Don't have a cookie. But I'm not. See, well, Bryan is a little upset with himself. I chose to take the high road because we did his body composition.
We don't have to go down that road.
Well, since you brought it up, and I mean, really, he's turning into a perfectionist now. So I almost have to feel like I have to not be the devil's advocate, but kind of like I see that Bryan's upset that he gained a pound. He's a little prima donna, but it's okay.
Not upset.
Well, you
upset.
actually punched the air.
I didn't. I have a witness. I did not.
Yeah, but I got to sign off on our hours.
Understood.
No comment.
I did. It's here it is. Don't be the devil's advocate. It's more, you know what doctor actually means? If you go back, and it means teacher. So look at it as being my teacher, where you're educating me, right? As opposed to being the devil's advocate.
Latin, eh?
I'm verifying that for him, Dr. Jason. I'll be right with you. I'll verify that.
It's what doctor means, teacher.
Docere, yeah, it's fine. Okay, but okay. So as doctor's teacher, I didn't say don't have a cookie. What I said was, so what that you gained a pound?
Yeah. So what if I did?
Yeah. So what? You didn't gain 100 pounds.
No, but I gained what kind of pound? A muscle.
It was all chocolate chips.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like anything else. You're going to fluctuate up and down.
Sure.
Right. So I get that. But when the progression is so good in the path that I wanted to take, where I went from 25% body fat all the way down to 20, right? And just not even 1%, like it came up a bit, but obviously it's.
But okay, so there's a plateau. And I'm sure Dr. Paul can speak to the idea of like the healing process is not linear. It tends to be in steps. And sometimes the patient will hit a plateau where they're kind of seeming like they're not worse, but they are better. But they haven't a couple sessions in, they're like, okay, maybe something needs to change. How do you address that? Do you see that with your patients?
Yeah, plateaus are they're frustrating for the patient. They're frustrating for the doctor as well, for myself. Some patients have different levels. It's multifactorial. How's the stress in their life? How's there's work stress, there's home stress, there's so many slews of stress. How is your so I look at it for someone in a car accident, for instance. Are they alcoholics? We know that alcoholics will heal slower because they're not getting the nutritional status required to heal the tissue properly. So we have to state that in an actual, the MIGs and the OCF-18s that we fill out for the insurance companies. So again, there's many conditions that the patient will come into, different levels of health status, different age groups, and they all come into play. And we have a general approximation of what I expect in certain timeframes for these people, for the patients. But if they hit a plateau, then I review that. I said, okay, what can we do better? Did we miss the boat on something? Can we add something? And again, it goes back to not being just a number, but to each person's different, and each person requires different things. And I'm not afraid to say, stop this. Let's try this instead. And then I'll even call them at home, and I'll say, how did that go? And then they know that you really care. Or I'll shoot them a text the next day. Hey, please update me on how that exercise went. or I'll shoot them a video. You know, we're all on social media connected. I'll shoot them a video and say, this is exactly how I want you to do it. You know, can you show me a video of what you doing it? So you're doing it correctly, the exercise or whatever you need to do that I'm giving. So it's just communication, connection, communicating as best you can so that there's a better connection with the patient so that you can both work towards a wonderful outcome or the best possible outcome for the patient.
Yeah. Did you hear that?
I did. I pay attention. It looks like I'm not.
No, you were
But I am
engrossed.
paying
I know,
attention.
you were a listener. You always say, I listen to people who have done it before.
It makes it easy.
Yeah.
It makes it easy. I don't like
embracing
the reader.
wellness is the key to living your best life.
Is that a t-shirt? That sounds like a t-shirt ready to be made.
He probably has it on
No, I'm looking at
I saw he's looking at
his
screen. He's looking it up.
I got Chat GPT right in front of me. It's a good quote. I was looking at them.
Okay, it's funny you brought that up because the last 2 weeks I just been Chat GPTing like half my Instagram videos and a bunch of like posts and like I'll just be like something inspiring. Now, how inspiring is it knowing that the person who wrote this just typed in something inspiring?
But you know what though? You know what gets the biggest bang for your buck on social media is when it's you doing that. If you tweak whatever, you know, they can kind of give you the idea.
You have to put your touch on it.
Yeah.
It could be a good like for why Bryan is laughing hysterically. What's happening?
I just you know, the doctors of the future, when they go to write their tests and stuff like that, it's going to be ChatGPT.
It is already.
You're not cheating on your exam.
Oh wow!
Okay, good.
But just, even if she was, we're recording.
I remember I said I may go to her as a patient.
There's evidence now.
Not that there's nothing. I mean, okay. There's a.
I'd almost trust the doctor that did look it up on ChatGPT because it's pretty up to date stuff.
I was gonna say.
Is it biased though?
Biased.
Yeah.
Probably.
Everything is biased.
Where can you trust 100% then?
See, the thing is, when you're giving a recommendation, it's not a promise. How's that? Good. You want to give the best information. Now, the method that we look up information or study, like, would you trust someone that just goes by a textbook that they read 15, 20 years ago, or something that they just looked up that seems pretty current and consistent with what you've got? How's that?
That's a whole rabbit hole.
Like, it is. And really, I just pushed you into it, Bryan.
You know, because you know, I still have a set of encyclopedias from like the 70s.
Yes.
If you were to go into
how many trips to the grocery store did you have to do? Because that's how they gave them out.
Huh?
You used to go.
They came to your.
Oh, you bought it was a door-to-door salesman. No, we had the Funkin' Wagnalls, which sounds very educated, and it was a good thing that my dad went, I guess, each week because then he got A to Z.
Yeah, and we got the whole set of one shot. But that's the thing. Like,
they must have been rich people.
Not rich. No, it was a good deal. It was a good deal. But the information that was in there,
that was your level of knowledge. You were a university level student.
The stuff that was put in there had to be fact checked properly. Like,
yes,
if it was,
but by the time it went to print, how accurate was it?
I'm sure pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate. But how about now? Now the idea that education and knowledge and opinions change so quickly.
Yeah. I don't think that it would. I don't think the stuff out there is 100%.
Dr. Paul is like saying, like, what's happening?
I don't open the can of worms.
I wanted to touch upon another thing that came up was both introducing functional foods, health foods, medicinal mushrooms into a patient's health, because it's something that I've been learning more about and finding the utility in. Now, I mean, I was always like a diet guy and trying to find, I came up with a term. I don't know if I borrowed it or I cryptonesia'd it, was constitutional eating. And I put it in a little Instagram video I had done. And a lot of people were like, what's that? What does that mean?
I wouldn't know what it means.
Well, what I meant by it at the time, which I think I owe it to everyone, but maybe to myself and my patients, who like actually explain what I meant by it, was eating for your health, your knowing what your requirements are, understanding both what the quality of the food is, not just if it was organic or whatnot, but is it like local? Is it appropriate for this time of year? Does it suit your overall constitution of like your health? Are you overweight, underweight, hot-blooded, cold-blooded, whatever it is? Do you digest well? Do you prefer protein? Are you type A? Oh, whatever.
Understood.
Now we're incorporating all these different like layers, like because some people do food combining, some people do the blood type diet. It's a blur. You don't even know what you should. People just be, I don't know what to eat. I eat everything or eat nothing, and they kind of just scatter, and there's a spectrum. But I try to go back to like, okay, what are things that are good? What are the foods that actually show? So I shared a post today. I saw that blueberries make you smarter. Meta-analysis consistently showing that if you eat blueberries, which I eat a lot of blueberries, Brian. Do you eat blueberries?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew it. Becca?
Full of blueberries.
All blueberries?
All blueberries.
Dr. Paul, you are dressed all in blue, so I presume.
I being a Leaf fan, I have to love blueberries. No.
Well,
No.
there's an argument that if you like the Leafs, maybe.
Here we go. Here we go. This is fighting words.
No.
It's a road you don't go down.
I want to know
Talk
what
about
what's
No,
the
actually,
where is it? Where are we going?
So, organic.
Is it rabbit hole or golf holes in April?
Boo, boo.
Brian, what's wrong? Brian is waving bitterly for me to stop.
Do you know how much? So I'm buying tickets for the Leaf game tonight. Do you know how much Leaf tickets are? I'm off on a side talk here. Standing room only at the very top of the Air Canada Center or the Scotiabank place. $250.
I was close.
But they're dropping in price though as the afternoon goes on. So I'm just tracking the price. So I'm gonna go for sure to the game.
I'm an absolute paradox because I love the Leafs. Obviously, I mean I grew up here, right?
Yeah.
Memories, Dougie Gilmore.
Oh yeah,
double OT. I get that. I know a couple ex-Leafs, cool guys. I'm excited to talk to them when I see them. But the problem is that it's like that girl in high school that she knew that you had the hots for her and she won't pay any attention to you because she doesn't have to. Right? Dr. Paul?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Am I wrong? Because if they wanted to make a run, they could. If they wanted to make some moves, they could.
I'll have a seat reserved for you along Yonge Street when the parade is scheduled, and we'll have that conversation.
I mean, I have a feeling I gotta.
No,
I don't have to cancel any appointments for a little while.
But you know, there's so much parity in the NHL, and I know we got sidetracked there.
Not parity. Parity to me means any team can win any day.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
When it comes to the playoffs, it takes a special team. There is a prototype, and we don't go that route. We haven't adopted it. And I think we have.
Tell me. This year, I think we have. I
that line I hear too often. This is the year.
It's this year and next year. The lines, right?
Back to nutritional.
Wow, Brian is. I've never seen Brian uncomfortable.
You know what? Because I'm not a Leaf fan. Sorry.
What are you?
I'm a sports fan. I'm a believer.
You know what? That sounds like a Leaf fan in recovery.
A good goal is a good goal.
I just like watching the kids skate around.
I know.
Let's get rid of the scoreboard.
This guy wants ties.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
everyone gets trophies.
Bring back ties,
no.
Brian.
I like good.
We're
goals.
all winners.
Good goals,
Figueira.
a good goal. No, you have to have winners and losers. I'm
so we got the losers category checked.
There we go. But I'm a believer in sports, man. Like I like sports for sports. A good catch, a good throw, a good hit. Like I like that kind of stuff. I can't sit there.
So that is the moment by moment. But what is that good catch, good hit? What do they amount to over time?
I don't root for teams that like I went to Europe and my cousin's like, who's your soccer team? And I'm like, I don't have a
Benfica.
Team. No one pays me to root for them.
Wow.
You pay hundreds of dollars in merchandise.
Probably thousands.
Maybe thousands.
Look at
right?
Dr. Paul.
Right. And what do you get back from it? What do you get?
You get satisfaction that your team scored. Some guy that you don't know, never going to meet, scored a goal and it made you happy. Isn't that enough for us?
No, man.
It's
No,
not.
I
And to
don't.
be honest, I totally agree with
I
you.
don't function that way, man.
I don't.
I like
But
sports.
how was when Portugal won the Euros? What did
That's
you
right,
do?
they did.
I was there,
Where?
not the year that they won.
Okay.
I was there the year that they lost to Greece, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, but I was there. Like everyone was going crazy.
Yeah, were you?
No, I just wanted to get to the beach. Yeah, like it's like
He's a narcissist. He just wants to show off his six pack on the
no
beach.
six pack then.
Back
The only
then?
six pack I had was like the case of beer I was taking with me. That was the six pack I had. But no, I'm not into that. I don't root that. I used to root for the team that my son played for. That was it.
Okay, well,
I mean,
that's
but
nice.
now-
See, you
now-
went wholesome with
It
it.
is-
You
now-
brought it back home,
Yeah.
eh?
now-
Brian is such
yeah.
a warm-blooded dude.
I can't even watch I don't even watch hockey the way I used to watch hockey because now when I watch, I'm watching the referees.
Yes,
You
I
know what
get
mean?
that.
And
I get
watch
that.
how they play with inside the
Yeah,
game.
you'd be like, my son could do better than that. Hey, have you been
Blueberries,
keeping up with your
nutrition.
your
Yes.
spores? You've been taking your spores, or you've been dropping off? I have a feeling you've been.
I'm waiting for my order of spores to come in, but I have been taking Ganoderma though. Like I have been taking like the capsule, the Reishi capsules, right?
And
it's in here. Yeah, that's
in
the
your organo. I know.
that's the
I
beauty
know.
about it.
To
No,
be
in-
honest, I only drink it. I don't drink regular coffee, other coffee now.
good for you.
But
Good.
you said you have 7 or 8 cups a day.
I do.
Dang.
I
man.
do. I do
Well,
because
Dr. Paul, was it, you have as a chiro, what do you that can't be good for his back, can it? Or is it actually because of the Ganoderma? It's actually improving his inflammation.
Well, there could be definitely some truth to that. That's for sure. Well, we know that what Rishi does, so many studies out there, but 7 or 8 cups a day, I think that's pretty good, Brian. I
Wow,
think
you got the thumbs up.
Norway. I think the Scandinavian countries are the most heavily drinkers, though, of coffee in the world. I think. Is that not true, Brian?
yeah,
I
they
think
do
7,
about
8, 9, 10 cups a day.
Yeah, 8 to 9 a day is our
Wow.
average.
Yeah.
Countries.
So
Wow.
I mean, it's here. It is. Working at the airport, you get hooked on drinking coffee.
Sure.
Right? It's just because of the routine, the schedule. But like 2 or 3 in, I was not feeling well. Right, with the brands that they were selling, that they were selling over there.
Okay.
Once this got introduced, like once Dr. Charlton introduced it to me, it was a game changer for me. Where like I can drink this, and like I drink this, and I go to sleep. You know what I mean? It's that easy. I mean, nutrition is easy this way.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
I don't have to think about taking, and here it is. All the money that I was spending in everything else got cut back dramatically, like in all my supplements, because this has, and you know this, you posted on your reishi mushrooms, right? It has a lot of nutrition. It has omegas. It has vitamin. Like it's a superfood.
Yes.
It has everything that you need, right?
I
So
agree.
for me, it just makes
No-brainer?
It's a no-brainer, right? And then the cost factor, like I told the story to Paul, is like when I started drinking this, I'm like, if you were to look at a coffee a day from any other place, you're in that $2 range. Over 30 days, that's $60. Well, I was getting it from Paul for 40 at the time, maybe even just a little less than 40, but we'll call it 40 for easy numbers.
He wants
That's
a discount.
That's a $20 savings. But over a year, that's $240. But you would change your car insurance for $240 if you were getting equal coverage.
If you
or
had car
better.
insurance.
But you understand what I'm trying to say? Like I'm talking to adults that I'm saying you would change your car insurance for $240.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense? Sometimes the light clicks on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. Some people are hardcore, like I only drink this brand. And I'm like, well, what happens when you go to Jamaica for a week and you're at the hotel? They don't have that brand over there. So do you stop drinking for a week, or do you just drink what's there?
Yeah, the red stripe.
Yeah, Red Stripe beer, Red Stripe coffee.
Ganoderma and the red stripe. We're onto something.
Well,
So-
I think there is something in the
That's where nutrition, like from Paul, like when I was going to him, it was literally for the physical, like, my bones hurt, my muscles hurt. Well, then he incorporated something else that brought it to a cellular level.
Yeah.
Where inflammation went down. Where like Paul, he'll test this. My shoulder is my biggest problem. Right. Well, once I introduced reishi, that inflammation went down. Right. And then,
Sure.
it's 11 different mechanisms, like for dropping down inflammation. Isn't that what it is, Paul? Something like
Yeah,
that?
love different mechanisms where it'll impede or restrict inflammation or help with inflammation. Inflammation, as you know, is such a killer in the body. I don't know if you can get rid of it all, but you want to lean towards decreasing the fire in the body for sure. Even just think of a vascular issue. How many 60,000 miles of vascular tissue in our body, arterials? If you can calm that inflammation down, you're gonna have less cardiovascular disease, healthy cardiovascular disease, probably less chance of getting dementia-like symptoms. Again, we're not saying that Ganoderma will cure dementia. We're not saying that it will cure all. It's not just a one-trick pony, but it's a good, I'd say, a lifestyle success strategy is probably the best way of saying it. Plus, it tastes fantastic. And the stories that I hear are pretty crazy. Like, I don't tell my patients, 11 different mechanisms to decrease inflammation. I say, this is really, really good. Have you tried it? Yeah, I like it. Well, it's good for you. They buy a box. They come in. And they tell me stories. The stories I've heard. I had a minister comes in and he goes, about that coffee, and he didn't know how to say it. I go, and he goes, it's different. I feel different.
Yeah.
This was
And
a minister. This is a minister, Paul.
yeah, it's a minister.
Did he say it was devilishly good?
No, no, he did not say that. No, no,
Don't you see
I
the
walked into
humor in
that
that?
one.
No,
Come on.
I think it's lowbrow heresy. No, I was gonna say he's telling the truth. You would hope, right? Okay, Brian's not into
I
it.
saw the humor in that. Come
Yeah,
on.
That was very, very cute.
Give
Very
another
cute.
one. Give another one.
No, I don't know.
No,
That's not
no,
But
no.
the amount of
my co-host.
She doesn't
yeah,
want to part of this.
the stories don't lie. Patients tell you stuff that you just don't expect.
Mhm.
And that's the nice rewarding thing about it. It's just another nice little arrow in my quiver to help patients. And it's a great simple strategy to consume in your life. It's not like you need a manual to learn how to do it. Cut, pour, add water. It's pretty tough, right? So it's, make sure you put proper water in there though, if you can. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But you have to think, even coffee itself, you want to try and limit exposure to oxygen. You want to try and limit exposure to sunlight. These are all individually wrapped, very convenient, medicinal amount in each of these little sachets. So it's very, very easy. The delivery system's easy. Again, I don't know, what's your favorite?
I started using the King.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel.
One capsule of reishi spores in that.
Yeah, so it's pretty potent.
That's why. Yeah, it's very potent.
Nice.
It's very good.
So if I'm having 5 cups a day, I'm getting 5 capsules
of reishi spores.
See?
And here's some knowledge. The reishi spore has 2 outer shells that are as hard as a coconut. So normally when you purchase this from other providers, your absorption rate isn't as good. It's very low. Paul probably knows the numbers. It's probably like 15 to 25%.
Yeah, 15, 70%. I think it's the last time I heard that someone could, the crack shell ratio.
Yeah.
Where
ours is 98.
99.999%.
So
bioavailable.
So what are you getting in? Would you rather have your kid come home with a report card at 99% or 15%?
Well, speaking of reports, because Brian, remember your report today? I think today was a little bit less than 99%. So you're gonna have to up your ratio.
100%. 100%.
I also just want to touch upon, if we, Dr. Paul, you have a couple more minutes, is things that we can do just like functionally, because I know Brian's got a red light. I got a big red light machine here that I find reasons to put people in front of it. I like my saunas. Is there anything physical that you like? Is there anything? I see something there.
What?
See
little
that?
red light here.
Yeah. And what do you like? What's your experience with that? What do you vouch for?
Jury's still out on the red light. I know it works, but just consistency in using it, which I do use it every day. I've used it for easily a month consistently, and I'll put it on. Skin feels better. Skin. I noticed I had a little flare up of a skin condition that seemed to ease a little bit. But again, sleeping. I'm always a good sleeper. Some people report good sleep. I love your infrared saunas. I'm thinking I'm going to pick up one as well, just for, heart issues, things like that. Got my fancy
Oh
dancy
yes.
blue light blockers. I throw those on in the evening. So there's like little things. Again, getting out in the morning, getting that first sunlight, that first 30 minutes, 40 minutes of sun first thing in the morning is very important. Getting early morning sun helps you to sleep better at night. So these little things, biohacking, grounding, of course. I don't have a PMF mat, but I am considering getting one.
Mhm.
And I love to, I don't know about you, but I love experimenting on me and getting measurements to see, okay, how can I improve my efficiency? How can I get better? How can my body respond better? And the things that you have in your office are going to help patients perform better. And that's what we're ultimately trying to do. We're trying to get a better performance from the individual, whether it be internally, externally. Um, I just, as a chiropractor, I get things balanced mechanically. And then if I can give them something nutritionally to support them internally or give them other strategies, then perfect. That's what we want to do.
I like it. Brian,
Yes.
never mind. Becca, what do you think? For Brian.
Sounds like a biohack.
Well, that is
Yeah.
the catchphrase now, and I think at
Yeah.
first I was resistant to it, but now I feel like I'm actually like I swam into those deep waters, and I'm like, I guess I'm into biohacking now. I mean, I got
Yeah.
the sauna,
But
the red light, the
that's what your
cryo, the hyperbaric. What's that?
Yep.
that's what your field is, though.
Not
Like, think about it. Like,
exclusively. I mean,
but
that their naturopaths can tend towards that, and I feel like there was like it was like hydrotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
I think hydrotherapy was the original biohack because then it kind of stemmed from like cold plunges and like using water as a means to elicit like a physiological change. But now it's like with technology, we just kind of exploded to like all this like wavelengths and this and that. And like people are like trying to figure out like, okay, what works, what's got good science behind it, what's gonna help is efficient for me and my concerns.
it's the consistency of it, though.
Do you think that
It's
applies to anything though? Because you can be consistent with breathing, you can be consistent with fasting.
Sure, yes, but I'm saying with all these modalities that are offered,
Mm-hmm.
it's the consistency of it. A lot of people will be like, yeah, you know what? I went in and I did hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah.
I want to get into it. I love the idea of it, right? But there'd be a lot of people who would be like, I can't do that like every month or every week or, but they don't. I think a lot of it is lost in I'm paying X amount of dollars to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford to do that, right? But if
Yeah,
you
to buy a unit, like
no, to come in to actually do the set, like to do the session, right? A lot of people would be like, I can't afford to do that every week or every month
well,
or
I
whatever.
made it available.
And yeah, you, but I'm saying for other clinics.
Well,
So-
yeah, I mean, some
but
people
you see what I'm saying? Like even like, I was very fortunate that between my insurances, I was able to go to see Paul on a regular basis. There was
Yeah.
no, like, I didn't miss, right?
Sure.
It was, it was consistent. Where once a lot of people would be like, I've ran out of insurance coverage, I'm not going to go anymore,
Yeah.
right?
So because you saw such benefit,
It's worth the price to pay.
yeah,
Because then I'm not spending money on other things to try to hide the pains,
yeah, yeah,
right? So I'm just taking that dollar figure and using it somewhere else.
of course. I got you.
Right? It's easy to come here and work with you, and when you say, "Oh, try this," well, if I try that product and I feel better, then I'm not buying other products A, B, and C to try to eliminate.
Well, a lot of people they come in with grocery bags full of supplements. I'm like, why? What did you do? And they're like, well, I went. They told me this is good for this is good for that. I saw a video. Someone said, and then they're like, I spent thousands and it's just sitting there or expired. I'm like, let's just see if there's anything salvageable. But really, like, I try to keep it to like under 3 interventions.
Mhm.
Like, if you're already doing more than that, you lose compliance. It's overwhelming to the patient. They kind of just, it's overwhelming. So, but some people, they like that. They're like, I want to be on the best regimen. I'm like, well, all right, we can do it.
7 to 8 a day, easy compliance.
Brian is a
Easy
coffee
compliance.
lover.
I love it. I really do. This thing here traveled to Portugal with me.
Yes.
people were laughing at me because I carried it in my back pocket, and they'd be like, "Oh, you got your little baby bottle with you," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It went everywhere.
They made fun of you,
They
eh?
did, yeah.
Yeah, for you. Dr. Paul, any parting shots?
Do you know what? It's a journey. And I think if you look at the longevity space, there's been a skyrocket in interest, especially I think the United States is the most, North America for sure, is looking at living better and living longer and living your best life. They're investing millions, if not billions of dollars in the longevity space. And people want to have a better quality of life. And, in my particular situation, I've just hit a certain age where I compare my life to like a hockey game. Here we go back to hockey. I consider myself at the end of the second period of the hockey game of life, and I want to go into the third period, overtime, and a shootout, but winning all the way, not just limping through the game with injuries and stuff that I don't want to deal with. So in order to do that, you have to look after yourself, and you have to invest the time and make proper decisions that are going to be good for your body. And when you're younger, you make silly decisions and maybe not the best choices, but really that's what it's about. Make wise choices that honors your body, honors your physiology, and honors your well-being.
I loved it. And as you were speaking, all I can think of was, I think I'm somewhere in the second period, but I'm at the hot stove having the 38-ounce steak. I'm missing
Oh,
some of
your
the
carnivore
game.
diet, obviously.
Well, I mean, I think I have some fries on the side. Brian
But
is.
they're organic. I get
I don't
it.
care about that. If they salt them enough, then I'm good.
Yeah. Celtic salt though, not Himalayan.
Yeah. See, well,
Yeah.
that's where we are. This is good. I really appreciate your time, Dr. Paul. And
No, my pleasure, Dr. Jason.
And
I love your stuff on Instagram. Keep it up.
I'm trying to diversify and get a lot. Actually, I'm late on announcing the contest winner for my blender, but me and Becca will figure that out after the podcast. But thank you, and we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, anything you want to touch base on, just give me a shout, and love communicating. Take care and all the best, guys.
Thank you.
See you, Dr. Paul. Thanks.
Bye now. Bye. You're very welcome.
I think that Bryan brought up a very interesting point when you said that some of the restraint has to do with insurance. I'm interested to see how in the future, if there is a change, because like, what are the long-term benefits to what we're doing now in this space, like the alternative medicine? Will that reduce long-term healthcare costs? Is that going to save the healthcare system money? Jason's making a face, so maybe not.
You are totally valid in your question and what you're positing, you're thinking. My problem, I think I had already mentioned to you, is that I don't believe our healthcare system cares to make us healthier as a means to save money. Mm-hmm. That's a very logical want, and it's very moral and should be the driving force. And money aside, even, it'd be like, we should have a healthcare system that makes our population live longer and healthier. Mm-hmm. We don't have that. Not through the standard healthcare. And that's where
here it is though. It's such an odd term to use though, healthcare, because they're not taking care of healthy people. They're not taking care of healthy people. They're taking care of sick people. It's sick care. That's where you're taking care of sick people, right?
That would even be a argument there. Are they actually even taking care of sick people?
Understood. But I mean, that's the reason why you go to see doctors, is because you're not feeling well.
And every person is a patient. Yeah. Every person. Doctors are patients, but doctors need doctors. So we always need some element of care. And if what is being given to us is not sufficient, I think we have to exercise our right to find and seek out care that's like to our satisfaction. Mm-hmm. And whether that's paying or improving the free system, quote unquote free, that we have right now. I actually think realistically, I think it's best that if you can afford private healthcare or additional healthcare, then or alternative healthcare, then you need to. Like, don't don't fool yourself thinking that what you were first told when you first saw the first doctor is the be all and end all. It's not enough. If a doctor said, if you're in the emergency room and the doctor says you're okay to go home, you're okay right now. You're not at risk of death, which is not the threshold that we should be aiming for. Hence, becoming a naturopath, and having a circle of paramedical practitioners.
I like this, and I like that there are coverages that have naturopath care with inside their coverage. There are a lot of people who don't have those coverages.
Yeah,
but I do like having the ability to see a naturopath, and it's covered because I do get educated when I come here. Right, I do learn. Right?
And people always say, "I wish naturopath was covered by OHIP." And I mean, like, imagine what the disaster we would be. I'd be like, I'm allowed to use one acupuncture needle on you because that's all that I have in the budget.
You don't want that.
No, you want to be able to be like, I pay and I get what I need.
Yep.
And I see the benefit. And I think that's ultimately, like, that's what you have to profess. You have to be like, there is improvement. There is a tangible. It's not, practitioners used to use the excuse, you're paying for expensive urine because you're just peeing out all these vitamins and there's no clinical studies and this is not true and this is folk medicine. All of that is a lie. All of that is just completely bogus. So we know that. But what gets me is sometimes when even within the naturopathic ranks, there is like a discrepancy or like they're not on the same page. And some people are into the old school medicine and some people are only exclusively in like this what's considered evidence-based, which really is just a way of saying like unless there's like 20 studies that I can rely on to explain why I'm giving you something, otherwise nothing works. But that's not medicine either.
Some of it is just common sense stuff too.
But things that are common sense they don't have studies for.
I understand that,
but that's the problem for people.
You know the term limeys.
Yeah.
Right? You know how that came about?
Yes. Pirate ships.
Not so much pirate ships, but yes, you're on the right path. Where
no citrus.
Englishmen, when they were crossing the oceans, used to carry cases of limes. So then they wouldn't get scurvy.
Yes.
There were no PubMed studies on like if you have vitamin C. They just knew, hey, if I consume this fruit, I don't get scurvy.
Yes.
No PubMed studies, common sense.
So, and what's kind of sick is that a lot of the recommended daily intake requirements are based on conditions like scurvy. So instead of us having like a certain amount of vitamin required, recognized by the government so that we can have like a really effective immunity and like, longevity and prevention of heart disease, the requirements are based on, so your teeth don't fall out, your wound, you don't get like sores in your mouth, your hair doesn't fall off. Like it's so that maybe you needed some more limes. I don't know.
This is by choice, actually.
You're fine. Yeah. You're fine. You're doing good. You're okay.
But yes, it's based on the minimum standard.
Not death.
Not death.
Consume this and you won't die.
Right.
Which is really like a bad, poorly referenced quality of healthcare.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything?
Even look at iron. Like, what's the reference range for that? It's like 14 to 300 and something.
It's bad because
crazy.
And it's such a awkwardly wide range what's acceptable, especially more so for women, because women obviously tend to have a deficiency greater than men, but men can as well. But the range for a woman to be acknowledged as like iron deficient, it's almost like under 20, under 10. But that's also at the point where you may need a transfusion, as opposed to if you were in the 40s or 50s, which is still borderline deficient, you'd be like, oh, you're fine.
And what if you had high iron?
Iron.
Is that bad?
It can be hemochromatosis. So like it gets into the organs and can cause liver damage and that sort of thing. But usually like tend to see more men, middle-aged men that have like very robust diets. They eat a lot of like they're carnivores. Don't worry. And then we just tell them to like donate blood. And just lay off some of the heavy meats and cheeses and wines and probably help with the gout too.
No gout.
No
gout.
no.
No wine actually either.
That's good.
No booze since November actually.
No booze since November.
Booze since November.
And well, your numbers overall have been very good. Very, very, very good.
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Good, because I want that on record, as opposed to it being bad before.
I think my mic is off. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
Stress management.
Listen, you know what? For my age, I'm actually happy with my numbers.
Sure.
And I'm happy that like I don't have to take any
cholesterol pills.
medication at all.
Yeah.
Right? Of any kind. That's the thing I'm happiest with. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about organo.
No, he didn't actually.
Talked about reishi.
We talked about reishi. Yes.
Medicinal mushrooms. We talked about blueberries. We talked about healthcare.
We did. We talked about mechanics.
We talked about hypochondriacs.
Yes.
What do you say?
I want to know what the 7 to 8 cups of coffee is doing to you.
She's looking at his numbers. Well,
No,
okay.
I don't.
Is that an increase?
It is an increase because I couldn't do more than 3 without like getting like gut rot. Like my stomach would just be in knots after a 3rd cup of coffee. And then you get the shakes and then I wouldn't sleep properly. Right. And then this just became one of those things where it's like, you know what? I want a cup of coffee. And it's just like, it's my travel drink.
So you have more coffee and less gut rot.
Yeah.
So what was causing the gut rot? What you're eating?
No, the coffee.
Not enough coffee.
The old coffee?
The old coffee.
Like the
when
Tims and stuff.
I didn't want to put any names out there, but yes.
Well, we're going to lose our funding.
Well, I want to be respectful there are people who like that, right? There are people.
So you're not telling them to stop. You're just telling them that you were gassy
Understood.
with it.
Understood. I just didn't, and then it was very acidic.
I think that's the thing I
where
noticed.
This is
less.
alkaline. Where and if you see my cup, it's just black. I don't no cream, no sugar, no milk. Don't have to put anything into it. That's the beauty about it. All right, it's very calming.
For caffeine.
Pardon me.
For caffeine.
For caffeine.
I don't feel jittery.
But the
to
thing
be honest.
is, the coffee is coffee. It's the reishi that buffers the body, and either it's promoting GABA, where it's like, hey, I can go to sleep now. I'm calm. I'm relaxed. Right? Or in the morning, it's like, hey, let's get you going.
Well, I can have coffee and go directly to bed.
So can I.
Yeah.
Right?
No, Beck?
No way.
No.
No.
You have a coffee and you're up for, what's the latest you'd have coffee at? 6
If
o'clock?
I'm studying, maybe like 4 o'clock.
Wow.
And that's pushing like a 1 o'clock.
I like having an after dinner coffee.
That's
too.
crazy.
Me
That's
too.
the Portuguese thing, though.
This might be probably.
Yeah, it really is. It is. Like, I'll have it after dinner. I'll go to the gym and come home, and this is in the car, and I'll be drinking this on the way back from the gym, and then I get in and I'll have like a cup of tea, and then off to bed. Right?
Retired from all the coffee we drink.
Wow.
No, I'm seriously. You should. I would highly recommend just to try it to see the change in. And again, it's not the coffee; it's the reishi. How the reishi is buffering your body.
I already got Jessie on. So Becca, her sister, is dating my cousin, and Jessie loves organo.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we're infiltrated their
I
community.
might have to try it.
We got to get Bart on board.
Oh, yeah. He'd love that.
How Paul got introduced to this through Dr. Rakowski, who's a functional medicine doctor. He has over 25,000 people that he's connected with that drink this. And you don't hear...
Top of the pyramid.
Yeah. It's all good stories.
They call him the Pharaoh.
Yeah. It's all good stories, though. It's all like...
I mean, to be honest, there is no... I don't know bad stories. No one would be like, "Oh, that organo, I got my ears fell off." No, this doesn't happen. It's good coffee.
You do hear bad stories about lots of things.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that, like, the stories I have heard.
Mm-hmm.
I told you the story about the flight attendant,
Yes.
right?
You know
Maybe?
the story?
No, maybe not.
That was the
That
other
was a different
story. That was
story.
another airplane saving someone's person's life.
That was talking them back to life, which I didn't even tell you the story. I didn't even tell you that.
Did it
story.
involve coffee?
No,
Oh, then skip it.
no. But this one here, we were coming from Vegas, and my natural thing is, I always tell the flight attendants that, like, hey, I'm in emergency services. I have flown. I have done martial arts. If you need anything, you can. What? No. But, hey,
Her pack of ninjas comes out of the cockpit. just wake me up.
Do you want me to tell the story?
Do it
now?
all
No,
on
you
the
just
plane.
say.
I'm just giving them the heads
said
up.
martial
that this
arts.
Yeah.
My gosh, I would, despite the danger, I would love to be on a plane and watch a kung fu break out.
Have you not seen stories or heard stories about like people, they get like, I'm going to open up this door and take everybody out on this airplane. And people get, they drink a little.
We've had a rash of those lately. People opening the door. I didn't think you could open it. No, you can't,
no.
or you should not.
You shouldn't attempt. But
But I thought-
my understanding is because of the pressurization, it can't open.
But it's an internal pressure, so it blows out. So it should open. It would be unless you're pulling in or it pulls in.
Door comes in.
Yeah.
So like it can't be brought in anyway.
So how come it's happening? It's like
It's just here it is. When you're pressurized,
Yeah.
if you're taking alcohol, so if you're consuming a drink, it's
Oh,
not
it's-
one drink, it's equal to multiple drinks.
Sure.
Now, if you're taking medication, it's not one dose, it's multiple doses because of the pressurization. Anyway, flight attendant. I tell them, saying, if you need me, call me. It's 2:00 in the morning. She comes and taps me on the shoulder, and she's like, do you remember you said I can ask you for help? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I go with her to the front galley, and as she pulls back the curtain, there's another flight attendant sitting there, and I'm like, I'll be right back. And she had what looked like third-degree burns across.
no.
The whites of her eyes were protruding from her head. And I go back to my wife, and I'm like, give me a coffee. And she's like, I only have the one King coffee left, right? Which she saved for me for my morning coffee. And I'm like, just give it to me. And I mixed it in cold water. And I told the flight, I said, drink this as fast as you can. So she does. But she was having an allergic reaction. And obviously I understood that there's a mechanism with inside Rishi which helps with people that are going into anaphylactics. So obviously there is a change in her health, and she got better, right? And I have the text, but it's pretty funny.
They don't have EpiPens on planes.
I don't know. No.
They're supposed to.
Maybe not. I couldn't tell you.
They have a medical.
They
kit.
have a medical kit, yes.
Because we had to give nitro to one lady once.
Yeah. Do they have a medical kit? I don't know if inside that medical kit there's an EpiPen.
There,
right?
Well, I would hope there would.
I would hope so too. But I don't know.
But
I
regardless,
can't say.
if there not just keep a bag of
sachet of
Put
organic.
that right in the
yeah.
first aid kit.
But that's what helped her. And she didn't believe that it was that. She went home. Dr. Paul was on that flight too, so he gave her some coffee as well. She went home. She tested the makeup. What it was her makeup. Is it eyeliner that you put like down in here, right?
Yep.
So she had.
It's
put that in.
okay
She
if
had
you
bought
know
it
the
from
proper
Vegas.
term.
I
Brian.
don't.
We
know.
don't think of you.
I don't know if it's mascara, but it doesn't matter.
it from
She
MAC?
put it in her eye. That's why the reaction was so severe, right? So she had put a little bit on her skin, and as she started to get an allergic reaction, she had a cup ready, and she drank it, and the reaction went away, right, on her palm of her hand. So I got the text. It's hilarious the way she wrote it back to me, right? She's like, I didn't believe that it was that, but it was. So, and that's just the mechanism. So that's why I drink 7 to 8.
Because you wear a lot of eyeliner.
Because I wear, seriously, dude, April 1st is your birthday. Right,
Told you.
Joker.
I told you.
Yeah, no, but that's I think that would be one of the main reasons is I want to stay on top of my health, and it's the easiest way that I know of.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. See? And you were nervous.
Wasn't nervous.
No, she's like, I don't know. She didn't say that. She was actually very like, okay, fine.
Listen, every time I do a talk with him, I'm nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't tell.
Dead cat? Come on. That lives back here.
There's a dead cat.
Yeah.
I said when I do his blood, I said once that it looked. I've seen better blood on a dead cat, and it's stuck in his head.
That's when I was right about there.
Okay, but look at us now.
Yeah, that's
See,
when I was right about
that cat has 3 of its lives left.
Cat's back.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything? Done? Thanks.
Thank you.